Welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast, the space where stories from active duty veterans, military spouses, and even military brats finally get the spotlight they deserve. I'm your host, Kat Corchado, Air Force veteran, movement specialist, and the heart behind this podcast. I started Sisters in Service because too many stories from our community were going untold. Stories of resilience, transition, identity, and the strength it takes to serve and to thrive beyond the uniform. This podcast is about connection, empowerment, and reminding each of us that our service didn't end when our military chapter closed. It simply evolved. Sisters in Service is proudly sponsored by Fit for Life Alliance, a space where people are committed to feeling better in their bodies every single day, and by My Sexy Business, where you can own a business that doesn't own you. So grab your coffee, your journal, or your walking shoes, because every episode is an invitation to listen, learn, and lean into the powerful stories that remind us service is a sisterhood that never fades. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Sisters in Service podcast. You know me. I'm your host, Kat Corchado. And today we are joined by Chanda Coston. She's a U.S. Navy veteran, business strategist, and founder of Chanda Co. After more than 20 years of leadership experience, she is on a mission to help women over 40 build businesses that fit their lives. Did you hear me say that? Fit their lives. Not the business fits into your life. Well, you know what I mean. We'll talk about all that. Not just drain them. Through her systems-driven, clarity-focused approach, she teaches women how to turn their experiences into income and their ideas into lasting impact. From the structure of the Navy to the freedom of entrepreneurship, Chanda's story is one of reinvention, resilience, and redefining what success looks like at every stage of life. Chanda, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and have this conversation.
Well, we're glad that you're here. So, for those of you listening, of all my veterans or even active duty, I always ask the same question of, did you pick whatever that, in Chanda's case, it's the Navy, or did the Navy pick you? So I've been asked this question of why some people don't understand it, and I'm going to explain it just a little bit. So to my people in the military, you'll understand exactly what I'm saying is when you first went to the recruiting station, you made that decision. Let's say Chanda decided, I'm going in the Army. And she gets there and the Army recruiter isn't there, but the Navy recruiter is. So the Navy picked her. So Chanda, did you pick the Navy or did the Navy pick you?
I'd have to admit I picked the Navy. It was my
Good
choice.
for you.
Yeah. My dad's retired Marine, right? Good old head. And I was like, no way I'm doing that.
Right? You're like, nope.
Yeah, nope. Yeah, they lured me in with the ability to go to school while I was active duty, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was a single mom, 3 girls, and I like that idea. And I thought about, the Marines are on the ground. This is my, experience.
Low crawling in the mud.
Yeah. I was like,
I'm good.
That's not for me. I wanted the 3 hots, right? A hot shower, a hot rack, right?
Yeah.
So it was the Navy for me.
Mm-hmm. I get it. I was a single parent in the Air Force, and I went Air Force only because I was born into the Air Force, and my father was already in when I was born. So I got to see how the Air Force was. So when I decided, it was just an easy choice.
Yeah.
I almost went in the Navy because I love their dress whites. And I told the recruiter that, and he goes, they don't wear those every day, right? And I was like, well, what do they wear? And he showed me. I was like, oh, no.
Okay, fashion.
I'm not wearing that.
Yeah.
So thus I went to into the Air Force. So Chanda, I'm going to ask you, what was the thing you loved the most about the Navy or just being in the military?
The thing I love most about the Navy, I would have to say the deployments, because they allowed me to travel and see other countries. And so that's what kind of, I still travel today. I literally just got home from Asia. And so they birthed that in me, like being able to experience other cultures and see what they were doing on the other side of the world. And I absolutely love that more than anything, which is why I still do it.
Well, you're kind of like, one of those people that I rarely get to meet because a lot of people, have either never traveled and don't want to travel, or they've never traveled and they eat it up. They're like, I'm going here, I'm going there, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They're traveling even after being in the military. I learned what you did as an adult, but I learned it as a child. I thought being a military brat was the best thing ever. I got to see things that other kids only saw on TV or read about.
Mm.
And my dad would make us go off base and eat the local food. So I have a wide palate for food. And, other cultures, it's not offsetting to me. I'm just like, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
Different food, different languages. I'm okay with it. And some people find it a little off-putting. So how long did you stay in the Navy?
Sure. So all I was saying is that I was at that halfway mark, and it's a road for most people. And I
Mm-hmm.
decided to get out to be with my children. And so I pivoted from military service into corporate so that I didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
leave them for an unaccompanied tour.
When you got out of the military, did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
No, I really didn't have a clue. People kept telling me I was crazy to get out at the 10-year mark. I had a really good, a time in the military, had good
Mm-hmm.
evals. I was promoting, etc. But again, it was for me, it was about family, right? And being able to show up
Yes.
for my children. And so I told everyone I was going to go get this corporate job and I was going to make this amount of money. And they were like, you are crazy. But I did just what I said I was going to do. I was able to
Mm-hmm.
pivot and I went to work for Deloitte Consulting. And it was a blessing, honestly. It'll allow me to see consulting at a very high level, working with
Mm-hmm.
some, very professional, career-minded people, which is very different. It was different from the military in that it was a different culture, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but it was a very good experience because they're top like creme de la creme,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I was like, wow, I didn't even know life could be like this.
Mm-hmm. So what was your transition like? Did you go right from the military right into that job? Did you have any kind of and I'm only asking because after 20 years in the military, A, I couldn't get hired. No one wanted me.
Oh no.
And B, I felt this sense of loss. Like I was mourning my military career. And I felt kind of like I always like to tell this story that I walked out with my DD 214 expecting a parade and balloons and music and all this other stuff. And I walked out and it was quiet. And I thought, do I have the right day? And then I kept walking and kind of just went into this free fall, kind of like floating, like I couldn't put my feet on the ground. Did you find any of that or did you just transition right
No,
into
no,
it?
no. So it did take me a few months, right? I separated in August. I didn't land my
Hmm.
position until November. I started in December. But my focus was really on I got these kids to take care of. I went from having three
Hmm.
girls to having five children in the 10 years I was in the military. So
Hmm.
from the time I entered to the time I got out, and I was like, okay, something's got to pop because I got to take care of these
Yes.
kids, right?
Hmm.
And so looking for a position became like a full-time job.
Oh, right. It almost has to be.
So yeah, it I definitely felt the free fall effect when you think about you've created this, you're in this culture and it becomes a huge part of your life, right? All of your best friends are in the military. We socialize and spend time with each other in the military. The military definitely becomes like a second family, right? And so when you think of separating from this family, I think there's grief
Hmm.
because it's such huge change. And as much as I enjoyed my time at Deloitte, it was like, okay,
Hmm.
now I felt completely out of wits to an extent, right? Because
Yes.
now I show up and they give me a laptop. They give me a laptop lock and they give me a cell phone just be on VPN. And so it is a completely mindset shift that has to take place when you're like
Hmm.
entering into that new space. But it wasn't immediate, right? Those
Right.
few months were definitely, I'll say they were trying. It was difficult
Hmm.
sometimes. And especially when you have five young ones looking at you like, hey,
Are we eating today?
right? And so, yeah, I appreciate my time in the military. And it was an interesting pivot into corporate, but I understood the sacrifice that was necessary in order to go to the next step. I never thought anybody was going to be like, I won't say like a parade per se, but I did expect a bit more, like for people to welcome me more. Like, you did your time. This is honorable. You did a good thing. Sure, come work for me. And it was like, yeah, no.
Honestly, it felt like nobody cared. That's how I felt. It was like, we don't care you're veterans, so you did 20 years, I think in my defense, I did 20 years at the same job. And I think that's, they're like, oh, we don't want to pay her that, So they tell you that you're overqualified, those words, you're overqualified. So Chanda, when did you go and you're working in corporate, and then you have this idea of, maybe I could do this on my own, or maybe I can do something on my own. How did that come about for you?
So after Deloitte, they had me kind of out in the boondocks in the country, and I wanted to be more in the city, right? I was in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and I was out in St. Mary's County, and I got an offer from CACI, and which is in the city. So not quite at the level of Deloitte, but definitely a better position. And I went to work as a contractor with the government at M Street, Naval Sea Systems Command. And so it gave me kind of a bit more visibility into government contracting, working with clients, that whole thing. And I decided, like, I did these 10 years, I should probably go civil service and buy my time back, just in case, it can't hurt to have too many options. And so that's what I did. I segued from CACI into civil servant. And I was there 4 years, and I bought back my time. And then I went to work for another contractor. And then I said, I had started my company, but I hadn't launched it because it was a conflict, right? Yes. I was working as a government personnel, so I couldn't have a government contracting company. So then I went to do that. That was a point where I decided to pivot. Now, how did I get into coaching? This becomes a little sticky part. I went and I knew, like, I'm going to build this company. I'm going to be the next mogul in government contracting. Like, this is my time. And a few weeks later, I lost my brother to gun violence.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. That, like, completely stopped me in my tracks. And I started a nonprofit. And it was 2018. So it's been going for some years now, been very successful. But so in that particular role, I realized by mentoring youth and teaching life skill classes and people on, business building foundation, and et cetera, I realized I like coaching. I like teaching. And so I said, well, how can I do this on a larger scale? I am very good at what I did for the government, but I was long hours in corporate, you're burnt out, and it doesn't always feel like it's value added. And so I decided, like, I'm going to do this because it makes my heart warm. Right. Yes. And so that began my journey into business coaching as well as strategy. Right. So here we are.
Here we are.
We are.
So you start your business. What was the biggest hurdle in starting your business? Because we all have this, whether it's imposter syndrome or we kind of, declassify ourselves. We kind of like, oh, I'm not sure I could do that. And what was the hardest part starting, or what was the hardest part for you?
I'm really good at systems, and I'm really good at processes. So
okay, hold on. Aren't we all, though, when we come out of the military? I tell people all the time, I'm a systems girl. Give me a system. Yes. I've got it down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I'm glad someone relates, right? You get it.
I do.
Yeah. So starting the business was, like, easy for me. Like, as far as putting the pieces together, putting it all together, that was easy for me. Even the consulting side, because it was already what I was doing. It was like, okay, how do I do this for myself? Right. Okay. I started the thing. Here we are. Let's go. And I already had some relationships. So that helped. I will say the biggest imposter syndrome for me came when I decided to step onto this side, online coaching, right, in the entrepreneurial space. And it was like, okay, I know how to be a program manager. I know how to manage projects. I know strategy. But when it came to building a personal brand and stepping out and saying, here I am, world, like, accept me. It was like, wait a minute. What does that look like? Build my social media.
You're like,
I
wait,
don't,
what?
yeah, I don't need that in corporate. I just give them my resume. They know where I
Mhm.
come from. They know the language I speak. And so
Right.
I think the biggest disconnect for me was that it was like, okay, as an
Mhm.
introvert, I'm okay with standing in front of a room and briefing the leadership on the
Mhm.
progress of my program because I understood that. But
Mhm.
now it's like I need to come out here and talk about myself and tell you what I'm eating and what I'm wearing and where I'm going. And it's like, wait a minute.
It can be a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
because you have to put yourself on the line because,
Hmm.
my business coach always says that people want to do business with people they trust. So
Hmm.
you have to be open enough where someone can pick you. She like said, you want to be open enough where people can pick you. And it can be a little bit, when I first started social media, it was like I would like stuff, I'd heart stuff. I'd be like, oh, that's cute and happy birthday. And now it's like a whole nother business of just being online. And
Yeah.
I won't say I'm good at it. I'm better at
Yeah. Over
it.
time, right?
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, being able to take down those walls because, the military, everything is taught
Hmm.
military bearing, right? And then we take that same
Hmm.
posture in corporate. It's called professionalism, right? And so
Hmm.
we're very specific about how we show up in these spaces and what we show them, right? As of who we
Hmm.
are. But in this new space, it's like, wait a minute. In order to make sure that you're real and I can relate to you, I also need to understand your pains as well
Hmm.
as, your wins. And I was like,
Absolutely.
do I want to open myself up and just show
Hmm.
everybody all of that stuff, which was never required for my success in this past journey, the past
Hmm.
two journeys. And so I think if I had to say anything, that's one of my biggest challenges.
Hmm.
But I also speak to it so often because I understand that for my ideal client, right, which is women over 40, entering into this space is also one
Hmm.
of their challenges. Like, am I good enough? Am I, pretty enough? Do I have myself together enough?
Hmm.
Like, I'm not technologically sound, so I don't always know how to
Hmm.
position the camera to take that selfie, or how do I come across natural and open, and what do
Hmm.
I say?
And you
So
take a picture and you go, that sucks. Let me do it again. Maybe I can turn my head this way, and there's so much that goes
it
into it.
is. It's quite a journey. And
Yeah.
so I think this has been the most challenging for me, only because it's the most unfamiliar.
Hmm.
And it comes at a stage in my life. It's like, do I really want to do this? Like, I wouldn't
Hmm.
have to if I decided to I could just go off and retire and sell into the sunset. And,
Hmm.
but I really do enjoy watching people get breakthroughs. I really do
Yeah.
enjoy watching other people succeed. Right. And being a part of
Exactly.
that. And so
Yeah.
it becomes worth it.
I think it's interesting that we both kind of focus in my business. I focus on women over 40 in the fitness arena, and you focus on women over 40 who want to start their business and, be able to still have a life.
Right.
And I find it interesting that we both kind of focus just on women. Was there a reason? Because a lot of coaches, male, female, doesn't matter. Was was it because that you really understood as a woman what it was like to be in that when you look in the mirror and you go, who is that person?
So absolutely. Not that men can't relate, right? And not that they're
Mhm.
not able to understand or digest what I have to offer, right? But
Mhm.
as a woman, I understand like what you're going through. I understand your mood swings. I understand your mindset. I understand the hormonal shifts. I understand like as an empty nester, I went a year with no one in my house, like a year and a half. And I feel like there should be a whole separate program for women who become empty nesters and they're grieving the loss of the lifestyle that it took to raise children, right? Because
Yes.
when I moved, I'm now in Elizabeth City. I moved from the DMV area because my mom
Mhm.
is older and her husband is terminal, and I wanted to support her at this
Mm.
season. And I have siblings, but they're all with younger children and they have, their life. And I was like, I'm going to move down here and support mom. I did not account to missing my children, my grandchildren going and coming to, home from school to my house, and the
Yes.
relationship factor and me taking so much of my time to nurture and care for them and be there for them
Mhm.
that all of a sudden I was left alone in my house by myself with just my mind. It's like, what are you doing? Like, what do you want to eat? Like, where do you want to go? How do you want
I
to spend your
know.
time? It's just literally me and my puppy, right?
Right.
And so, but that was a challenge for me, and
Mhm.
I'm glad I experienced it But I also understand how hard it is for other women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that becomes so much of our identity and who we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a grandmother. But who is Chanda? Who is Chanda? And
Exactly.
what does Chanda want? And what does that look like?
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's interesting that, you know, we know what we want, but we tend to, you know, think that maybe we can't do it. And I know that you focusing on, women like I do, you talk about businesses that truly fit a woman's life. What does that look like in real life examples?
my life is a real life example. And that's what I try to share with my clients. My goal in this new season is to work no more than 20
Mhm.
hours a week. And so when I talk to them and I say, okay, you want this business, right? Are you good
Mhm.
at it? Is it needed? Can you charge for it? But more importantly,
Mhm.
does it fit the season of your life? Do you
Yes.
have space for it? And,
Mhm.
as an entrepreneur, I didn't go into business to create another job for myself. I went into it for
Right.
freedom, right? I want to be free. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, and it's showing them that not only is it like possible, right? But you can
Mhm.
do it as well if you're able to create that structure yourself, if you're able to
Mhm.
incorporate different strategies yourself, because you
Mhm.
deserve it, right?
Absolutely. I think as women, we do multitasking a lot. And I'm a pitch for women right here. I think we were made to multitask. Not saying multitasking is great, but we have to. If
Yeah,
you're a mom, you're working outside the home, you're cooking, you're taking care. How do you not multitask? That's what I
exactly.
want to know. But the question is, women especially tend to take on all the roles. How do you help women step away from the superhero syndrome?
A few ways, right? So everybody's situation is different. If you're telling me time is an issue for you, let's do a calendar
Mhm.
audit. Let's see how you're spending your time, right?
Oh, yeah.
See if it's actually serving you and if there's a better way for it to serve you. I speak highly on delegating, right? Automating and eliminating. Like, what is it that you do more than 2 or 3 times that you can
Mhm.
automate, or that, you can make it more streamlined so that you don't have to put your hands to it and you can recoup some of those hours? What is it that you're doing all throughout your day that maybe you can task batch so that you're
Mhm.
doing it once or twice during the daytime and it's focused
Mhm.
time and energy so that you can recoup some of that time, right? So
Mhm.
I'm really big on time management strategies, because if you don't have that, then you're obviously going to feel like you're spinning your wheels, like kind of running in place on a treadmill and really not
Yes.
going anywhere, right? And
Oh, ugh,
so,
I hate that.
yeah. Yeah, and most people, even though a lot of it is given, a lot of people,
Mhm.
it's like they forget, right? And so they have to find for themselves, like, okay, if you want this bad enough, you have to make your goals non-negotiable enough
Mhm.
to do the work. And so eventually,
Mhm.
in the beginning, it does feel like work because it's new. But after a few
Yes.
days, a few weeks, and me helping to keep you accountable, then it
Mhm.
becomes germane to who you are, becomes a part of your lifestyle. And then you find out, like, I'm not so tired. I'm not so frustrated. I do
Mhm.
have more time to spend with family. I do have more time for self care, right? Because you've created that
Absolutely.
structure in your day.
Yeah.
And I think that's really key, right?
I
And it's
think one of the things that I did was I actually put a day in place. Like Sundays, I call it Catitude Day. And on Catitude Day, I do whatever I want, when I want, if I want.
absolutely.
And my husband understands, he's like, hey, can you blah, blah, blah? And I was like, well, it's Catitude Day, right? And he's like, oh, yeah. I said, I'll see if I can get to it. But I mean, you have to take that time back.
You do.
You need that time. You can't just go, 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 because you will burn out. And that's
Exactly.
never a good thing.
Never, ever.
I know.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I like to do is my coach calls it sticky note time. And I take everything that's in my brain, personal, family, hopes, wishes, all this thing, everything I want to accomplish in the quarter. And I put it on a separate sticky note, and then I put them in like order of importance. And what that does is it doesn't sound like it's huge. it takes it out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to joke that my head's so big only because I've got so many things stuffed into it, and I need to lose weight in my head. That's where that comes into play.
No, I absolutely love that. I do something similar. I follow the 12-week year process, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
look at my year as a year, but then I look at it quarterly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always looking at the top three. What's my top three for the day? What's my top three for the week? What's my top three for the month? What's my top three for the quarter? And of course, all of those should play directly into your year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at that year, I'm checking to see what I accomplished the year before, if it was value added. Yay,
Mm-hmm.
great, celebrate. If it was not and I didn't move it, be honest with yourself. Why are we holding space? Let's get rid of it, make space for something else. And then I
Absolutely.
map out the next year. Like these are the things that
Mm-hmm.
are important to me across my
Mm-hmm.
entire life, whether it's personal, business, family, like
Mm-hmm.
charity, like what's important to me, investments. And I put
Mm-hmm.
them for the year, but then over the year, I'm breaking them out all the way across. And every quarter, I'm looking to say, what did I accomplish?
Oh,
Like, am
yeah.
I making progress? Right.
Yeah.
And so that way it holds me accountable to me. Right. And
Exactly.
a lot of people don't do that. They're like, oh, I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
this year. It's like, okay, well, what does that look like?
Yeah. Break it
Monthly,
down.
quarterly, daily,
Yeah,
right? What does that look like?
absolutely. Yes.
And you find that you achieve more, you're more productive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people don't think like that though. Like, give me snippets. You can say, I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
this large thing over a year, but when you break
Mm-hmm.
it down to a quarter and then you break it down to a month and then you break it down to a week and to a day,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, well, wait a minute. Am I going to do that? Can I do
Yeah.
that? Do I have the
Yeah.
capacity, the knowledge to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And so it helps you be more realistic with yourself. And it also helps you actually achieve those goals, right? Because you're being
Absolutely.
honest.
Yeah. I think one of the best things about the sticky note thing is, you peel the sticky note off, but you put it in a container. And then
Mhm.
after a year, you look at all the things you've accomplished,
Ah.
So I love that. So we had talked about systems
Mm.
and that you and I both understand. And you are never mind. We're systems driven people.
Yes.
So are there systems that are often missing for women when you work with them? Do you have to put systems in place for them or give them ideas for systems because they're kind of all over the place?
Absolutely. So as a strategist, when my clients work with me, they all walk away with a plan of action and milestones and a client
Mm-hmm.
resource guide. The client resource guide speaks directly to personal development, books they should read, resources they should tap into in order
Mm-hmm.
to deal with their pain points and things that they're struggling with on a personal level that may impede progress in their business, right? Because if you don't
Mm-hmm.
deal with the mind, you can give someone a plan of action all day long, but they're not going to make progress because it starts up here, right?
Yeah.
But the plan of action is really taking the thing that they say they want to accomplish and eliminating the
Mm-hmm.
noise to give them that
Mm-hmm.
strong 20% instead of, it's like 20% of what you do pushes 80% of success in your business. So
Yes.
if they're looking at all of this stuff and they can't
Mm-hmm.
decipher, then it's like when you
Mm-hmm.
streamline that and give it to them, it's like these are the things that you need to hit in order to go to
Mm-hmm.
this next level. Then they
Yes.
become uber focused, right, on that
Mm-hmm.
20% so that they can then move forward in their
Mm-hmm.
business. And they're like, they immediately go from overwhelmed to focus and more productive. And then they have
Mm-hmm.
community, accountability, right?
Right.
From a while. And so it increases the likelihood of success, right? And so it becomes amazing to watch a person go from, oh my God, I don't know where to start. I don't have enough time. I'm
Mm-hmm.
completely overwhelmed, but I really want this, to saying,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, I think I can do this now. It all makes sense.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
not to mention, life happens while we're
Yeah.
building our business. But you also have to give yourself grace, no
Hmm.
matter where you are in that journey, to say, let me take care of this life thing here.
Yeah.
And then, what I like to do is, do the absolute minimum that I need to do while I'm working with this. And here's a life situation for you. My mother came to live with us. Yes. Okay. That's a shift
It is.
that so big, I can't even tell you. But I had to, she's not still here. She came for a month, but I had to really niche down. Okay. I need to do this, this, this,
Yeah.
and really be focused and understanding what I need to do so that I could take care of my mom.
Oh,
When she left, I was able to open it up a little bit. All these big projects I wanted to do, I had to put them off to the side. You know what? It's okay
it
because I
is.
was better for it afterwards anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. And we should do that. I think sometimes we can beat ourselves up when we feel like we're not hitting the mark, right? But what I tell
Hmm.
my clients is always take time for self because without
Hmm.
you, it all goes away, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
so self-care is so key. Even if you make
Hmm.
baby steps, it's still progress.
Oh,
Progress over
absolutely.
perfection every single time.
Absolutely. When you're working with women,
Mhm.
why is it women tend to underestimate themselves all the time when it comes to business? Like a guy will be like, I'm going to start a business tomorrow, and damned if he doesn't do it. Where a woman's like, oh, I've got this appointment, I got this, and maybe I can't, maybe I'll do it next week, and then maybe I'll do it next month, and I'll do it in 6 months, and then it's a year, and then like you were talking about,
Mhm.
what is that? Why do women do that? Have you figured that out when working with women who want to be entrepreneurs?
I really think it's about culture, mindset, right? Because we were taught we're
Hmm.
supposed to stay in the house, take care of the children, take care of the home. Like we're
Hmm.
gonna stay in this little box. And it's like, you want to start a
Hmm.
business? Well, how are you gonna do that? Where are you gonna find this time? Like, what about your other responsibilities?
Hmm.
And unfortunately for some women, they also are told that they're not capable, right?
Hmm.
And so breaking the mindset shift again is key, but
Hmm.
also being in a community of people that support you or who are on a similar journey where you can share your successes, as well as
Hmm.
your hurts and the times where,
Yeah, the lows.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And
That is
so,
huge right there.
yeah, I tell everyone, I think it's key to get into a community with like-minded people and people who
Hmm.
will support you so that you don't feel like you're doing it alone, right?
Hmm.
There's a statistic I like to quote that says if you tell someone your goal, you're 65% more to achieve it. But if you have someone that keeps you accountable on a regular basis, it increases like almost to 100%. I think it's like
Hmm.
95% chance of achieving that goal. And so you have to ask yourself, like, what is that? Right?
Hmm.
I think because we're as humans, we're relational. It's important for us to have those relationships that can
Hmm.
support us. It's give and take, ebb and flow, yin and yang. We support
Hmm.
them and they support us, and we share our wins and lows, and they share their wins and lows. But it's a give and take, right?
Hmm.
And that's the importance of a coach, accountability partner, and/or a
Hmm.
community. And I think that is so key to so many women making that goal or having that
Hmm.
successful business. It's like, girl, you can do this. Like, come on,
Yeah.
you got this.
Do you find that having a community helps women get over that imposter syndrome?
To the extent if they are in a community and they're engaged in the community and they
Hmm.
are having those important conversations. And so it
Hmm.
really depends on how you show up.
Yes.
Imposter syndrome is having someone to let you know that not only are you capable, but it's doable, and then having
Hmm.
people around you who can do it, who's done it,
Yes.
right? And I think that when you talk about the closest five people to you shows you where you're going in life, right?
Yes.
I think that's where that comes into play. So if you're surrounding
Hmm.
yourself with a bunch of doubters and people who are not mobile and they're slothful and
Hmm.
they're not doing anything with their life, then it's going to be really hard to build from that, right? Because that's
Yes.
the energy you're getting. But if you're around productive people who are focused,
Hmm.
who are doing the kids, they're doing, the relationship, they're doing the business, they're doing all the things. It's like, that's what I need in my life. That's where I need to go, And
I
so
need to be there.
yeah, you cheer each
Yeah.
other on
Yeah.
because you understand it. And there's no competition per se, right? It's
Oh,
we're
yeah.
excited for each other.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the best things about the community I'm in is, you know, we always ask for feedback on stuff, whether it's whatever it is for business. And it's never mean, it's never snarky. It's, hey, have you thought about changing the font on this? And then you go, oh, that looks so much better. The
Yeah.
other thing is ask until you're clear. I don't care. I probably have asked questions 25 times and I didn't hear the answer until question number 26. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. But I think that helps a lot,
It does.
to, keep asking those questions because sometimes you ask a question and you're here in your business, but the question you're asking is, oh, well, 5 years from now, and you're like, let's wait on this a little bit,
Yeah.
and so you get there and then you get that answer that actually makes sense to you.
Oh yeah.
So, Chanda, what kind of projects or things are happening that you're excited about right now for your business?
Lots of great things. Currently have a one-to-one tiny challenge. If someone says, I like you, I like what you're saying, but I'm not quite sure you're the one for me,
Hmm.
then they can sign up and work with me. It's like $20 for the sign up. It's money back
Hmm.
guaranteed. It's over 3 1 hour, increments across 3 days. I work Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays with clients. So
Okay.
they would pay the money. They would meet with me for those 3 days, for those hours, and walk away with a 90-day clarity plan. But we would kind of deep dive over those 3 hours and figure out solve a problem in their business. And then after that, if they want to work with me, then they can opt in for our VIP program, which is Built to Blueprint. It's a 12-week program, basically, where we walk them through executing in their business and building their business out based on where they are. And what I mean by that is you have clients who are beginners. You have clients who are ready to flesh their business out and refine it so that they can prepare to scale. And you have clients who are ready to scale. And so you can't talk to them or coach them or strategize with them the same way. And so it would look different for each one of those tracks, but definitely, across the board. But in the process, which I think is so key, they have an opportunity to actually execute. So there's 2 sprints, which are working time blocks built into the program, where I say, hey, we've worked on these things. I want you to take some time and actually execute these things so that we can go back and talk about it, see if we need to refine anything. And then they do it again towards the end of the program, to make sure that everything is tracking. So it's not just coming to me and listening to me talk at you and you walk away with this information, you quite don't know what to do, which is one of the things I hate about coaching. It's actually like, hey, let's come along. This is some work I need you to do. These are some things to do within your business. Okay, what are you doing? Let me see. Let's talk about it. Where are you struggling at? What is it that you don't understand? Okay. And so that they can get that clarity, because once they get clarity, often they'll move forward. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that happens a lot is that if you don't have a community or a coach and you start your business and then you get stuck and you can't figure it out, and then you do what? You just go, I tried it. It didn't work. That was me. I would get stuck and go, okay, never mind. But I find that having a community and having someone that could say, let's walk through this.
Absolutely.
Someone that's going to ask these questions where you kind of go, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. So I think it's important. Chanda, can you give the name of your company, where people can find you?
Sure. My name of my company is Chanda Co, ChandaCo, and they can find me at my website, chanda-co.com. On social media, it is Chanda 2_CO, and I look forward to connecting.
Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on today. One last question. If you had any advice for a woman she hasn't really started yet, but she's kind of tinkering with the idea of starting, what kind of advice would you give to someone who's kind of on the fence of starting, not sure? What would you say to her?
For the woman who's not clear on what direction they want to take and what they want to do, I would say, let's go. Why do I say that? Because tomorrow's not promised, and you deserve to have everything that you desire today. And the only way that you're going to get that is to put one foot in front of the other and to make it count. It sounds easier said than done, but there's another quote I like to quote. I think it's Abraham Lincoln. He says, whether you think you can or you can't, you're absolutely right.
You're right. Exactly. Like, a lot of people told me that I was too old. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to do this anyway because I can.
Exactly.
And I think the other thing that keeps bringing me back, because we all have those days where we're like, I'm done. I'm not an entrepreneur anymore. And of course, that's not true. But you feel this overwhelm, is remember your why. Why did you start? If you are passionate about something, that passion, that why is going to bring you back every single time. And if your why isn't strong enough, then you need to rewrite it.
Exactly.
Period.
As many times as it take until
exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So there have been so many times when I look at that why and I go, ooh, okay, let's give it another shot.
Here we go.
Here we go. Chanda, it's been such a pleasure having you on today. And I want to thank you for all your advice that you're giving to women who are either on the fence about starting, who have already started and are kind of stuck, or even for those that have been in it for a while, but maybe there's some tidbits of information you could give them. For anyone listening, I hope you got some information from not just Chanda, but from the both of us. These are all real life experiences that her and I, or she and I, okay, whatever, you get it, that we have gone through, and it's real life. So in the meantime, please stay safe, take care of each other until next time. And please remember always that it's never, ever too late to start your impossible.